Stanley was the man who came up with the first practical transformer back in the 1880s. So a long period of development here, laboratory development, research, and all that. All of this was turned over to Westinghouse. Just like Edison did not really invent the incandescent lamp, he made it work. People before Edison knew that there was the possibility of such a thing as an incandescent lamp, but they couldn't make it work, and he made it work. And people before Stanley knew that there was the possibility of a device that we now call a transformer to step voltage up and down in power systems, but they couldn't make it work. Stanley made it work. And Stanley was the basis of everything that subsequently happened here in Pittsfield. Now, when Stanley began developing the practical transformer, he was working for George Westinghouse in Pittsburgh. William Stanley was not a real healthy man. He had serious respiratory problems. And back in the 1880s, Pittsburgh, of course, does not like to be reminded of this, but back in that era, Pittsburgh was known as the Sooty City because Andrew Carnegie's steel mills and Henry Frick's coke ovens made the air almost unbreathable. And particularly so for Stanley, who had respiratory problems to begin with. Stanley, I believe Stanley was actually born in Brooklyn, but he had family in Great Barrington, which is a town south of here, Pittsfield, Lenox, Stockbridge, Great Barrington, what we call South County, South Berkshire County. So Stanley knew about Great Barrington, and he apparently asked George if it would be okay if he would come to Great Barrington to do his developmental work on the transformer because he frankly had trouble breathing in Pittsburgh, and George said sure. So Stanley set up in Great Barrington. He got a Westinghouse steam engine and a Siemens, a German generator, alternating current generator, and he set them up in an old factory in Great Barrington, and he strung wire out and he lit stores and businesses on Main Street in Great Barrington with alternating current, using transformers to step the voltage up and step it back down again. William Stanley lit Great Barrington, and that was the first practical lighting of a downtown area, not a very big downtown area, but a downtown area with alternating current. Transformers don't work on DC, so that's where the correlation between alternating current and transformers comes in. If you try to operate a transformer on DC, it's nothing but a big short circuit. It just doesn't work. So George Westinghouse came to Great Barrington to see what Stanley had done. Of course, brought his engineers with him and his finance people and everybody else, and they said, yes, this looks good. This is terrific. And so Westinghouse took Stanley's work and they put it on the market, not as the Stanley system, as the Westinghouse alternating current system. But that grew out of the work that Stanley did in Great Barrington. Well, this is around 1890 now, or shortly before that. Stanley's Great Barrington demonstration was in 1886. And in the years following that, things didn't go well between Westinghouse and Stanley. So Stanley eventually quit Westinghouse and came back to the Berkshires and started his own business, the Stanley Electric Manufacturing Company, and he opened that business here in Pittsfield. First in a factory downtown, which is no longer there, then to a larger factory downtown, which is also no longer there, And then around the turn of the century, he bought land in what we call the Morningside section to build what he called the Morningside plant. And that plant, through the early 20th century, became the General Electric Transformer Works. GE bought an interest in the Stanley plant in 1903, but it didn't become the transformer works of GE until 1907. Prior to that, GE was building transformers in a building in the Schenectady GE plant. So from 1907 on, this had been the official transformer operation of the General Electric Company, and that's how it all developed.
Understood.
GE always claims that their roots go back to 1879 because that's when Edison was working at Menlo Park and did the incandescent lamp. But the fact of the matter is, Edison was not a happy camper in 1892 when his company was combined with an AC company and his name was dropped from the company. Stanley likewise became disillusioned with things for various reasons around 1900. In order to expand the plant here as much as people wanted it to expand, they had to bring in capital from other sources. And they actually ended up selling a controlling interest of the Stanley Company to the Roeblings. The Roeblings of Trenton, New Jersey, the Roeblings of Brooklyn Bridge fame. And one of the Roeblings, a guy named Ferdinand Roebling, came here to Pittsfield and became the general manager of the plant for a time. Well, once again, just like Edison got a bit disillusioned with what happened in 1892, Stanley got rather disillusioned with what was going on. He lost control of his own company. And he went back to Great Barrington. And just like Edison got involved in other things like motion pictures, so forth and so on, Stanley got involved in other things too. He developed a line of instruments, voltmeters and ammeters and such things. And in later years, he invented the metal thermos bottle, which I'm not sure if it's still marketed with the name Stanley or not, but I guess they are. So he went off into other areas too. So Stanley's interest in Pittsfield kind of ended around 1900. So the Roeblings were in charge, and as I said a while ago, GE got interested at that point and bought an interest from the Roeblings, and then by 1907 it became the GE Transformer Works. Stanley was the genius behind everything. He teamed up with a man named John Kelly, who was also a rather inventive genius, but Kelly was a kind of a character in his own right. And a guy named Cummings Chesney, who was actually more the managerial businessman of the team. Stanley, Kelly, and Chesney. They marketed their equipment under the name SKC. And Chesney did stay on with GE for a long time. In fact, I think he ended up in Schenectady, I'm not sure, in various management capacities. Kelly was kind of an oddball and a loner, from the working standpoint, a loner, and he went off and did other things too. I don't believe that Kelly ever worked for GE. I think he said, I don't want anything to do with it. But Cummings Chesney did become a GE manager, and I think he went to Schenectady eventually. And Stanley went back to Great Barrington. After GE took over, now once the manufacturer of transformers was moved to Pittsfield from Schenectady. The problem with transformers was that as they started developing them for higher and higher voltages, the higher the voltage you transmit, the more efficient it is, because the less current you have to transmit and the smaller the wires can be. But you've got to insulate for it. So they started talking in terms of many tens of thousands of volts early in the 20th century, and that soon got up to 100,000 volts and 200,000 volts. Well, you've got to do a lot of development work with insulation. Not only the external insulators, the porcelain outside the transformer, but of course you've got to learn how to insulate inside the transformer for high voltages. You don't have this problem with generators, because generators running in air, they're kind of limited. Even today, they're kind of limited to maybe a few tens of thousands of volts, whereas the transformers that we were building here went as high as 765,000 volts back in the 1970s. So the high voltage development work grew up here in Pittsfield rather than Schenectady for that reason, because it had to. Just as with everything still today, it probably came down to money. But as I mentioned earlier, Westinghouse came to Great Barrington, saw all of Stanley's work, put it on the market as the Westinghouse alternating current system, not the Stanley system. You know, that may have rankled Stanley a little bit, but I think it came down to money. I think it came down to royalties. I think royalties probably more than anything else. And you know, the same thing happened with Tesla. Tesla gave away the farm, you know, because Tesla was just not a money man at all. He just wasn't interested in the least in that end of things. But Stanley and Westinghouse had some kind of a falling out over money matters, and I believe it had to do with future royalties on the equipment. Somewhere in my stuff I have a newspaper article which actually said, no, I think it actually came from a history of Pittsfield that had been published early in the 20th century, that Stanley told somebody that after he had begun setting up the Stanley Electric Manufacturing Company here, that he was told by somebody from the Westinghouse Corporation, "We will ruin you." So that's the Westinghouse company telling Stanley, "We're going to get you." So obviously it was a very unhappy separation.